It's day 2 of CES and the second day in a row that I've been locked in this room without being allowed to leave. And I've been taking a look at the all-digital CES, and today I want to share my highlights of some of the top tech that's been announced at CES 2021 from some smaller exhibitors. Welcome back to another episode of STU'S Reviews. First of all, if you haven't seen my day 1 recap, go and check that out because that covers some of the bigger releases from companies such as Samsung, LG, Hisense, and the keynotes they did on day 1. Today I'll just be looking at some of the smaller creators, or exhibitors if you will. But there was something I missed. Couple of things I missed actually, but the one thing that I really missed, that I was shocked that I missed, was probably because I went for a cup of tea too quickly or stroked my dog at the wrong point, was right at the very end of the LG keynote, they teased this.
Change the future of humanity. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your all digital CES. Take care.
An LG rolling phone. Now obviously this is just a concept at the moment in time, but it is exciting to see where they're going with it, and it's something to keep an eye on in the future. But I don't think we'll be seeing any more from that rolling phone at CES 2021. Now, they haven't been the only ones to tease a rollable phone. TCL also took a look at 2 different rollable products, if you will. The first was a phone which wasn't really that much of a stretch concept. It matches much of what we've seen so far about rollable phones. It sort of rolled down into this square format, which I kind of liked. Bit odd. But I kind of get it. You can stretch then out into a widescreen view so you can watch things like TV content on it. So I kind of get that. But then what they did was something completely and utterly ridiculous, and I despise it when tech companies do this. But they showed the 17-inch scroll display. I mean, come on. I hate it when these companies do such outlandish and ridiculous concepts and they pen it off as something they're working on. If this kind of thing ever comes to fruition or comes to the market, I will literally eat my slipper. I will film myself tucking down at a candlelit dinner with my slipper, or at least I'll try to eat my slipper before I throw up. But anyway, I just hate it. This sort of thing will never make it to the market. I mean, first of all, you're going to be scratching it every 3 seconds on a display like that, but it's just not practical. But I think what the whole point was they were saying they've developed a 17-inch display that can roll, it can fold. So maybe we'll start seeing this in more implementations in things such as laptops or even a foldable display like a television. Who knows? But it's certainly a start. I just hate it when companies pen it off as some technology that is decades or even centuries ahead of what we can actually do at this moment in time. I mean, I'm not saying that you couldn't get a display and roll it up like a scroll. What I'm saying is that you can't have it in your backpack, pull it out whilst you're camping and rip it open like this to watch some whatever you had on the bloody display. I mean, I've seen better CGI in films that have been filmed 17 years ago or with the budget of 20 pence. Anyway, they also spoke briefly about a wearable as well, which was the glasses. Now, a lot of people thought, what's this? Is this an AR glasses? Is it going to be some kind of Google Glass update? Well, unfortunately, they are not augmented reality. They're VR instead. They're virtual reality. So when you put them on, it simply projects a display in front of your eyes like a cinema screen, which kind of already exists. I'm pretty certain I've seen these sort of video glasses around before. Bit of a shame. I think really companies like TCL should be looking forward at AR rather than making something like that. I mean, I get it. They come 20% of the weight of a VR headset, but then at the same time, they're probably not quite as immersive. Because with a VR headset, you're sitting it around your eyes and you're blocking off all light. If you just got a pair of glasses, I can't believe it would do the same, but I'm prepared to be wrong with these. But again, this is just a concept stage that they are about to start making available, or start conceptualizing for consumers. So watch this space. I'll pass judgment when I've got a pair on my face. So that was something that I missed from the LG and also the TCL keynote, which I didn't speak about yesterday because simply they don't have a huge presence in the UK. They've got a handful of products available, whereas in places like America, they've got more of the range. In fact, quite a lot more range available in America. So I chose to breeze over it, but a few of you asked for some information on it and me to summarize what went on. So I thought I would do that just for you guys. But now on to some of the smaller exhibitors from the expo floor. Now this year it's been a bit strange because normally in sort of an expo floor you could walk around and ignore some of the booths that don't interest you, that have things like computer security and rubbish and jargon that really are meant for sort of B2B sales type stuff. And I can go and look at the cool gadgety tech stuff that really interests me and probably interests you as well. Well, this year is a bit different because it's all digital, it's all on a screen. And CES have not made it easy at all for me to pick out what has been released and what new gadgets have been kind of shown off at the expo. Instead, what they've done is they've just listed page after page after page after page of companies' logos and companies' names. That's it for the exhibitor list. No information about what they do, no information about what they're releasing, just name after name after name after name. Now I can go through this list and kind of pick out names that I know, like Razer, brilliant, Arlo, brilliant, let's have a look at what they're doing. But then all these other smaller companies that are doing lots of innovations, I'm missing because I can't click on over 2,000 individual exhibitors and read what they have to offer. So as a bit of feedback for CES, please make that a bit easier in future if it's an all digital platform. But I still have been through a hell of a lot of stuff and down the rabbit hole to find out some of the best tech from CES 2021. And here is what I've come up with. Starting with gaming tech and sort of smart home tech. A couple of days ago, someone asked me about my light bar over on Patreon above my computer. Now I can turn this on. This is a BenQ light bar and I love this thing. It illuminates my desk and allows me to work in quite a well lit environment. And someone was asking me if I like it. Yes, I do. I do like it. I think it's pretty good. It's quite expensive. But anyway, I saw this from Yeelight, which is a smart home manufacturer, but it's touted as more of a gaming device. It goes on top like this and it will allow you to light up your desk like so. But what it also does is it displays lights, or has LEDs on the back of it that project onto the wall behind you in a very similar way that Philips Ambilight does, sort of as a bias lighting. Now that means it's easier on your eyes, but also it's more immersive because you can pair it up with Razer Chroma and Overwolf to give you the kind of immersive gaming experience that changes colour depending on what you're doing on the screen. And I thought that was a pretty cool device from Yeelight there. And another kind of honourable mention as well is Hyperx have brought out a few new gaming devices as well, but the thing that caught my eye was their 60% mechanical keyboard, which isn't anything super special, but it looks really nice. The design is very cool. Lenovo have also exhibited a few products too. Now the couple that have caught my eye was the P11 Tablet, which is a cheaper version of the P11 Pro we've already seen, and it looks like quite a comprehensive tablet at a price that starts at around 200 quid. So I'm quite excited to see this when it finally lands, but at the face value on the screen it looks pretty good for the specs. But what really caught my eye is something else, and I'm going to have to read the name off here because it's a ridiculous name. Again, these companies come up with the most stupid names for their products that are immemorable, completely immemorable. This is called the ThinkBook Plus Gen 2i. Forgetting the name, this actually looks like quite an interesting concept. It's a laptop with a great big e-ink display smashed on the top of it so that you can use it when it's closed. Now, I love this sort of concept. It's not necessarily a new concept. We've seen dual display laptops before, but this is a great big e-ink display that you can use for stuff when the laptop is fully closed. And I love this idea, and I love e-ink displays. I love the fact they're low power, they're easy on the eyes, and they're just overall pretty cool. So I'm excited to see what this looks like and how it performs in real life. Now, there are a few pieces of home tech that has really stood out this year, and the first I want to talk about, I couldn't actually find much information on. Now, this was shown on the 2-year exhibitors page, and it was a solar-powered smart light to go outdoors. Now, I quite like the concept of this. It looked really nice. I know there's a couple of things out there that do a similar job already, but this thing just looked really smart, but I couldn't find any more information about it, which was really quite strange. Now, I have reached out to TU'S and said, look, what is this? Where can I get it? Who's made it? Can you tell me some more information about it? And no one has gotten back to me at this moment in time. So if you've ever seen this light, let me know. I'm really interested in getting hold of one. But for all I know, it might not be built by TU'S. It might just be one that uses their smart connected app. Who knows? But I thought it would be worth a mention because I quite like the look of it. But another couple of things that I've seen for the smart home was one by Curler. Now, this was a bath. Not just a normal bath, it's called the stillness bath. This thing is incredible if you've got $16,000. Now, I recognise that that is completely out of the range of everybody that I know, including myself, and quite possibly most of you lot out there. I mean, if you can afford a $16,000 bath, send one my way as well, and I'll review it for you. But seriously, this thing just looked incredible. It's built sort of mirroring those Japanese soaking baths, but it cascades water down the outside when it's full, and then it kind of filters it back in and creates this waterfall effect and fog effect and lighting. It just looks so cool, and I want one now. To be honest, it's probably a good thing that CES isn't in person this year, because I'd be in it right now in my boxes presenting this to you from there, which would make quite interesting content, but quite possibly bannable content on YouTube. But this isn't the only piece of bathroom tech that I come across that really interested me. There was another one by a company called Ampere. Now, a few of you might recognise that name, and that's because a couple of months ago I was sent the Ampere charge cube or something. It was a bizarre cube that sort of charged things, and I still don't really understand it and can't make much sense of it. But what they released looked awesome, and they called it the shower power. Now, this is a Bluetooth speaker that sits between the sort of hose and head of your shower, and it powers the speaker using the power of the water. There is no electricity involved. Well, obviously it generates electricity to charge up the battery inside the speaker. Obviously it's waterproof, but I just think that's so cool. You get in the speaker while you shower, and it's completely powered by the water you're already using. How well that would work in environments where your water pressure is really low, I don't know. That's a good point, actually. But for those with good water pressure, this sort of thing is cool. It's just a cool gadget, and I love the idea behind it. If anything, I'd like to have a go of it, to be honest. We had the Nobi smart lamps as well. They were really cool. Not necessarily that important for people like myself at the age I am. This was more for the older generation. Now, the idea behind the Nobi lamps was that you simply pop them in your light fitting as normal, but they can detect if someone's had a fall and they're unresponsive and notify your loved ones or emergency services, and they can even try and arouse the individual by shouting at them. "Hey, are you dead?" But anyway, that sort of thing is really, really important in today's day and age, when we find that a lot of people are isolated at the moment, especially in things like lockdown. They might not have that support package around them, so if they have a fall and they can't reach any panic buttons they might have in the house, having an automatic detection system in the house is imperative. And the fact that you can have it in your light fitting and it look like a normal lamp, well, that just helps make things normal for people and make things more comfortable for people having that sort of thing in your house. And I know I'm going to look to it. I mean, I'm starting to get grey hairs in my beard already. It's getting a bit scary. I'm making noises when I stand up. My knees are hurting 80% of the time. I mean, I'm getting old. I'm going to have to start thinking about this sort of technology. I mean, hopefully not quite this for another few years. But anyway, I love that sort of tech. Now, there's one other piece of smart home tech that really caught my eye, and that was by a company called Cleverdoc. And it wasn't really eye-catching in the sense of their presentation was interesting. They had no presentation, just a couple of pieces of pamphlets and leaflets. But what this showed was a smart camera that could detect faces and also the temperature of the individual they were checking. I love this. I think this is cool. I would love it if my front door camera could check the temperature of everybody coming to it. Because that would mean, let's say Sam came walking up and his temperature was way over that it should be, then my camera would notify me and I could tell him to bugger off. And that sort of thing, again, is another piece of tech that I think is responsive to what has happened in the past year. But I would love to see this sort of thing appear in more consumer security systems in the next few years. This hasn't been the only release this year that's been quite responsive to what has happened in the previous year. There's been loads of stuff around coronavirus and bacteria and sanitization. But the one other thing that sort of stood out for me was a smart mask. Now that sounds mental, but I'm going to have to read the name because this is also a ridiculous name. This is called, hold on, the AirPop Active Plus Halo Smart Wearable Mask. Seriously, if anyone wants to consult me on the name of their product, please. Let's just get rid of at least 6 of the words in that sentence. Anyway, this is a mask that you wear and it can do things like tell you when the filters need to be changed, and it can also monitor the quality of air around you and how much pollutants there are. I just think that's great. It's another thing that you can track about your daily life through wearing tech that isn't obtrusive. It's a simple mask, goes on your face and doesn't look too ridiculous. No more ridiculous than some of the ridiculous ones that I see, like the leopard print ones people wearing. I mean, they probably are from a corner shop and don't do anything at all. At least with the AirPop, you know you're getting something that is going to work. Is it going a little bit too far? Probably. I mean, everything these days is connected and I have to charge everything. I mean, you can even buy shoes these days that you need to charge. So it is getting a bit over the top, but at the end of the day, it does offer such a good idea about your overall health and the environments that you're in. Now, there was another wearable that caught my eye, and this time it wasn't to do with coronavirus. It was actually a helmet for motorbike riders. Now, I don't ride a motorbike, so it's not that relevant for me, but it connects to your motorbike and it can do things like display your signalling and your braking directly on the helmet. And let's face it, it looks like bloody Tron. It is so cool. Like, I'm tempted to ride motorbikes just to wear this helmet. And if they ever release a version for electric scooter riders, then they need to let me know immediately because I will be getting my checkbook out straight away. I just think that thing looks so cool. But that pretty much concludes my top tech, or the best things I've managed to find so far. But it's been very difficult this year because, like I said, a lot of manufacturers have chosen to not demonstrate new technology at this CES because it is all digital. And you can understand why, because people can't get their hands on this stuff. But this isn't the end of my lists of CES tech. We've got one more list of CES tech, and that is the weirdest gadgets that I can possibly find. And believe me, there's been more weird stuff than there's been stuff that has interested me. So the next episode is going to be very interesting indeed. It gets a bit weird. But if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer about CES 2021, or any products that you might have heard about at CES 2021 that you want me to check out and share my opinion on, let me know in the comments below, because I will feature your questions, I'll feature your desires in the next episode at the end, and we'll run through an FAQ of your most frequent asked questions. But other than that, guys, that pretty much concludes today's episode. Like I said, if you haven't checked out my day one recap of some of the main tech that's been announced, go and check that out. I'll leave that in the description for you. And if you do want to watch the next episode, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified as soon as that drops. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for joining me for day 2 of CES, and I'll see you back for day 3 and 4.